Welcome to segment number 2, lecture number 18. Segment number 1 of lecture number 18, we started audit planning. In this segment, we'll complete this topic. Now, ISA 300 states that once the overall audit strategy has been established, an audit plan can be developed to address the various matters identified in the overall audit strategy, taking into account the need to achieve the audit objectives through the efficient use of auditors' resources. The establishment of the overall audit strategy and the detailed audit plan are not necessarily discrete or sequential process, but are closely interrelated since changes in one may result in consequential changes to the other. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो आपकी नॉर्मली आपका ऑडिट प्लान तब बनता है वंस यू हैव क्लियरली डिफाइंड योर ऑडिट स्ट्रेटजी, लेकिन ये दोनों एक दूसरे से क्लोजली इंटरलिंक्ड हैं, लिहाजा नॉर्मली किया ये जाता है कि दोनों को एक साथ डेवलप किया जाता है. यू डेवलप योर ऑडिट स्ट्रेटजी टुगेदर विद योर ऑडिट प्लान, ताकि आपके दोनों में हार्मनी आए और जो आपका ऑडिट का ओवरऑल प्रोसीजर है इट शुड गो स्मूथली. द ऑडिट प्लान इज़ अ डिटेल्ड प्रोग्राम giving instructions as to how each area of the audit will be conducted. Now we have already studied different areas of the audit. In other words, the audit plan details the specific procedures to be carried out to implement the strategy and complete the audit. ISA 300 provide guidance on what should be included in the audit plan, stating that the audit plan should describe the nature, timing and extent of planned risk assessment procedures. जो भी आप रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर्स आप इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे उनकी नेचर, टाइमिंग और एक्सटेंट क्या होगा. द नेचर, टाइमिंग एंड एक्सटेंट ऑफ प्लान फर्दर ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स एट द असर्शन लेवल, अदर प्लान्ड ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स दैट आर रिक्वायर्ड टू बी कैरिड आउट सो दैट इंगेजमेंट complies with ISAs, International Standards on Auditing. Typically, an audit plan will include sections dealing with business understanding, risk assessment procedures, planned audit procedures, the response to the risk identified and other mandatory audit procedures. Now we'll discuss changes to the audit strategy and audit plan. As we have already discussed, audit strategy and audit plan are not fixed once the planning stage of the audit is complete. It is important that both are updated and changed as necessary as the audit progresses. दोनों जिस तरह आपका ऑडिट आगे बढ़ता जाएगा उसके हिसाब से आपको अपनी ऑडिट प्लानिंग और ऑडिट स्ट्रेटजी दोनों को भी अपडेट करते रहना होगा, कीपिंग इन माइंड योर ओवरऑल ऑब्जेक्टिव, कि जो आपका ओवरऑल ऑब्जेक्टिव है आप इन दोनों को ऐसे अपडेट करें कि वो आपका ऑब्जेक्टिव इन द एंड मीट हो सके. Documentation. ISA 300 requires that as well as the audit strategy and audit plan being thoroughly documented. Audit strategy आपकी thoroughly document हो, audit plan document हो. A record of significant changes made to the audit strategy and audit plan is needed. Documentation is crucial because key decisions about how the audit will be performed are contained in the audit strategy and audit plan. The documentation should therefore include the response made by the auditor to any significant changes that occur during the audit as discussed above. The audit strategy and audit plan do not need to be documented in a particular way. Some audit firms use checklists, some use memoranda. तो ये different आप तरीक़ों से जो है आप अपने audit strategy और audit plan को document कर सकते हैं. चंद organizations जो होती हैं they use standardized documentation such as audit programs, while other tailor the specific form of the documentations to each audit engagement. Now, direction, supervision and review. ISA 300 requires that the auditor shall plan the nature, timing and extent of direction and supervision of engagement team members and the review of their work. Additional considerations in initial audit engagements. ये भी ISA 300 इसको cater करता है. It requires the auditor to perform client and engagement acceptance procedures जैसे आपका ISA 220 भी इसको मेंशन करता है, एंड ऑल्सो टू कम्युनिकेट विद द प्रीडिसेसर ऑडिटर वेयर देयर हैज़ बीन अ चेंज ऑफ ऑडिटर। अगर आपके ऑडिटर चेंज हो तो जो आपका प्रीवियस ऑडिटर था, यू शुड ऑल्सो कोऑर्डिनेट एंड टॉक विद हिम। Conclusion. Planning an audit involves more than just obtaining business understanding and performing risk assessment. Planning is a dynamic process that may evolve during the audit and should always respond to changes in the circumstances of the audited entity. जिस entity की आप auditing कर रहे हैं, अगर उसके circumstances change होते हैं, your audit plan should change accordingly and accommodate those changes. Now, what are the benefits of the audit plan? It helps the auditor obtain sufficient appropriate evidence for the circumstances. It helps to keep audit costs at a reasonable level. It helps to avoid misunderstandings with the client. It helps to ensure that potential problems are promptly identified. It helps to know the scope of audit program by an auditor. It helps to carry out the audit work smoothly and in a well-defined manner. ये तमाम जो benefits मैंने आपको mention किए हैं, when you will go through this audit planning note, so you'll be able to easily understand कि ये benefits कैसे generate होते हैं और किन circumstances में इन benefits से आप maximum फ़ायदा उठा सकते हैं। Now we'll do the diagram which I told you in the previous segment. It is called planning an audit and designing an audit approach. ये diagram आपके notes में ऐसे होगी, आपके last page में होगी. You should go through it carefully so you can understand the steps that are involved. Now the first step in planning an audit and designing an audit approach is pre-plan, which we have already done. Engagement we did, pre-engagement activities. Planning we did the preliminary activity. So that all comes under the pre-plan section. Then you have to obtain background information about the client, about the ethical standards of the client, जो previous उनकी auditing हुई थी उनका complete, किस circumstances में previous audit conduct हुए थे, ये तमाम चीज़ें आपको background information में you should have a detailed knowledge of understanding of these. Obtain information about clients legal obligations, उसमें आपने ये देखना है कि client कौन सा financial framework यूज़ करता है, client जो है उसके अपने internal rules क्या है, ये तमाम चीज़ें जो हैं उसकी legal obligations में आती हैं. Perform preliminary analytical procedures. Then you set materiality. Materiality मैंने आपको पिछले उसमें बताया था कि significance क्या होती है किसी भी event की, किसी भी transaction की, किसी भी discrepancy की. Assess acceptable audit risk and inherent risk. हमने risks में ये risk की तीनों types पढ़ी थी. तो ये तमाम जो inherent risk वो risk होते हैं जो मौजूद होते हैं, जो inbuilt होते हैं. तो you have to assess and understand those inherent risks properly, ताकि आप जो आपकी risk assessment के बाद जो आपकी risk management में है उसमें you should be able to minimize those risks and come up with a fair audit opinion. Then you should understand the internal control and assess control risk, and in the end you develop an overall audit plan and audit program. So जब आपने ये initial जो मैंने आपको steps बताए, जब when you have done these steps, then you should develop the overall audit plan and audit program, and then you can start with the field work, and then you can come up with the conclusion and your opinion as to the true and fair position of the financial reports and documentation.